Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk on a Friday. 580 Sports Talk coming your way for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. We are online at 580WIBW.com, and we are on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Round one of the NFL draft is in the books. Josh Simmons is the newest Kansas City Chief. There are scheduled to be 3 more picks for the Chiefs to make tonight on day 2, with rounds 2 and 3 coming up. And the Chiefs, adding a pick with a trade back last night, have 5 day 3 picks they are scheduled to make. So 8 more picks for Brett Veach and company that they hold going into the final 2 days of the NFL draft. Thanks for being with us here on 580 Sports Talk. We were not with you yesterday. Hope you enjoyed the baseball. Can't imagine you didn't enjoy the results. The Royals with a doubleheader sweep, completing a 3-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies to get back within 2 games of 500. They open a series with the Houston Astros tonight at the K. We'll take you up until 6 o'clock, and that's pregame coverage from the Royals Baseball Network. So we'll pass the baton at the 6 o'clock hour. 6:40, the first pitch tonight from the K. Seth Lugo on the bump for Kansas City. Hayden Wesneski on the mound for Houston.
Royals win. I've seen this story before with Hayden Wesneski. Royals win tonight. Calling my shot.
Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski with you, and Spencer Dupuis will join us in a little bit. And we have got so much to talk about in these next 3 hours on 580 Sports Talk. Josh Simmons was the pick after all. It was the most mocked selection, not made fun of in that sense. It was the most common mock draft selection that we continued to encounter over the weeks leading up to the NFL draft. And indeed, it is the former Ohio State Buckeye who the Chiefs select with the 32nd overall pick, having moved back with the Eagles and adding a 5th rounder for the pleasure. We'll react to it. I have said on this show, and I said last night on our NFL Draft Stravaganza video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, that I'm concerned about this pick. But the Chiefs are not, and the Chiefs have seen more imaging and x-rays and things of that nature on Josh Simmons' knee than I have. And if they're comfortable with the bounce back from a torn patellar tendon, which is a catastrophic knee injury to suffer, if the Chiefs are comfortable, they may have gotten the best value in the entire first round. That's only the ceiling for this pick. It is a very high ceiling, but there is the potential for a pretty low floor. We'll get into who the Chiefs have added in Josh Simmons and who they'll look to add tonight. 3 picks in hand. Did the way the first round proceeded make the Chiefs happy in the sense that they feel like they can address other needs in rounds 2 and 3 with quality options? I think they can be happy with how the first round unfolded. We'll talk about that. We'll make some predictions for day 2 and day 3. Why not? For the Chiefs as well. We'll also hear from our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He'll join us at the bottom of this hour, as he always does. On Fridays on 580 Sports Talk, we'll get Matt's thoughts on the Simmons pick and where the Chiefs might go from here. Lots of other NFL draft reaction on the show today. The first pick was as expected. The second pick was half as expected, with Travis Hunter being the number 2 pick, but his destination sure wasn't. And the fact that that ended up being the only trade until late in the first round felt unexpected, given the nature of the reporting going into the draft, especially in the 48 hours leading up to the draft. Teams are going to be active. Teams want to trade up. Teams want to trade down. There weren't a lot of dance partners last night until the draft hit the mid-20s, and then we had some trades, and then we had, in my opinion, one of the funniest picks Not just, I think, in last night's NFL draft. I think it's one of the funniest picks in NFL draft history. The Giants selecting Jackson Dart 25th.
I think the funniest part of the entire draft is more so that the Giants made a bad desperation pick, and then the Falcons said, hey, that's our job, and also did something stupid immediately after.
Trading a future first rounder to get into the bottom of the first round in what is universally seen as not a very deep draft. Galaxy brain stuff.
Hey, when you can take an undersized edge rusher that only can rush from wide 9 because otherwise he gets knocked off his spot, you got to trade a first round pick for that guy. You just got to do it.
Yeah, this coming to you from the same franchise that paid Kirk Cousins all that money and then said, what if we draft a quarterback in the top 10?
The funniest thing about that, because at the time, the joke was, oh my God, they drafted Michael Penix. Why would you do that? They have Kirk Cousins. Then in retrospect, it was, why did you sign Kirk Cousins?
None of it made sense.
When you could have just gotten Michael Penix from the start.
They do not really seem to have a plan. And look, losing franchises stay losing. And the draft will always show you why that is the case. You will always see that dumb franchises do dumb things and losing franchises stay losing. And so much of it is revealed in their NFL draft process. So we'll react to the first round, how the AFC West came out, how some of the other AFC rivals came out of the draft. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk mock draft final scores. Not a bad job by the group identifying the first rounders.
Yeah.
All told. Pretty strong on that front. So lots of NFL draft to get to on today's show. We are going to talk some baseball as well. Yours truly at Kauffman Stadium for the double dip yesterday in a non-professional sense. I was there to root for the away team, and boy, they're really bad. The Royals take advantage of having the worst team in baseball in town for 3 games. They win them all, and they score more than 4 runs in a game for the first time in 20 days. And they liked it so much that they did it again in the nightcap. Royals take a pair, 7-4 and 6-2, and are on a 4-game winning streak entering this weekend series against the Astros. But we all hold our breath and wait on news about Cole Ragans, who left his start after 3 innings with a groin issue, undergoing further testing today. We have yet to hear from Matt Cottrero or anybody with the Royals organization regarding the severity of that injury, but certainly the Royals ace did not look right in his start yesterday, and the Royals are not equipped, as no team is. This is not a knock on the Royals. No team is really equipped to miss their ace for the long haul. So some nervous time, certainly, as we wait to hear. I think we'll probably have heard from Matt Cottrero before we sign off today, in fact, about the status moving forward for Cole Ragans. So we will get to some baseball on the show today, and, of course, all of the other things you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of the program. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll have a round to change my mind and on second thought, and your interaction with the show as we go on today. You can text the program, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also, if you are watching our live stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, jump into the chat. And there is a live chat feature on the web browser and the mobile app on YouTube. And if you're watching along, why don't you jump on in and interact with us and your fellow listeners throughout the show? We appreciate everybody who is checking in early today. I see Trevor, Mark H., Ryan's in, Tyler's in, Paul's in already. And I know we'll see some more as we go along throughout the day. But welcome in. Thanks for being a part of the live chat over on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Before we get to last night's draft, and while we're talking about the YouTube, should we let everyone know what they can look forward to tonight on our video channels?
Yes, we will be back at it tonight. It will not be as
it won't be 2 hours long.
It won't be as long. It won't be 2 hours long. But we are going to come live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, ahead of the Chiefs' scheduled pick at number 63. Now, there's a chance they may have moved up on that pick. They may have already moved the 66th pick, the early pick in the 3rd round. But our plan is to be live to react to the Chiefs' late 2nd round pick and early 3rd round picks on our YouTube stream. So if you are watching the draft tonight, you can watch along with us. Again, the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We'll be reacting live to what Brett Veach tries to pull off at the end of round 2 and the start of round 3.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting spot for the Chiefs tonight, and we'll talk about it later on in the show. But you've got 2 picks that, within a 4-pick stretch. The Chiefs will select twice. Should have some decent players there available. And look, you know who's really, really rooting for a run on QBs? The Chiefs. Because if you at some point in this second round end up with a run on Shedeur Sanders and Tyler Shuck and maybe Jalen Milroe, well, all of a sudden you're getting some pretty dang good players pushed down the board, and you're going to end up in a nice spot and probably a trade up kind of spot if you're the Chiefs, in my opinion. So should be a lot of fun with those couple of picks, end of the second round, start of the third round tonight. Hope to see you guys on the YouTube stream.
We are certainly looking forward to having more of you join us on the YouTube. And if you missed last night's NFL Draft Stravaganza, you can relive the magic on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Jake LeBon stopped by. Fulton Castor was in. We heard from Matt Derrick as well. It was a really fun time over on the live stream. So another thanks to everybody who joined us last night. If you were there with us, you saw it as we saw it, where the Chiefs traded down, got a 5th-round pick from the Eagles so that the Eagles could jump up 1 spot and take Alabama linebacker Jahad Campbell, who was never in play for the Chiefs. And then at 32 overall, the Chiefs selected the player that many thought they would take, Ohio State offensive lineman Josh Simmons. Simmons started his career at San Diego State, was the right tackle there, then transferred to Ohio State, was right tackle for a year. Last year was the starting left tackle for the first 6 games of the season, but against Oregon, suffered a torn patellar tendon that kept him out for the rest of the season. There have been some concerns about his availability for training camp. The Chiefs like what they saw in the medicals. They liked what they saw in the imaging, the screening, whatever you want to call it. And they believe that there is a chance that Josh Simmons is ready for training camp. So he is the pick at number 32. This is a big swing because the upside here is immense. You look at the numbers for Simmons in those 6 games he played last year. I think he gave up 1 hurry in 6 games. That was it. He gave a sack, 1 hurry, 1 pressure in 6 games against, Big Ten competition for the most part. He wasn't just winning his reps, he was dominating his reps. And if they had held the draft the night before the Oregon game, Josh Simmons goes in the top 10. He is long gone before the Chiefs can even think about getting a talent of his caliber. At 6'5", 315 pounds, moves very light on his feet, and looks the part, maybe an inch shorter than your typical tackle prospect, but certainly tackle sized at 6'5". But that Oregon game brought an injury that is a very difficult one to come back from. And there's not a ton of precedent for offensive line prospects suffering that injury in college and then coming back to play in the NFL. So we don't have a lot to go on here. We don't have a lot of precedent to look at and say, oh, this is how it should impact Josh Simmons. We don't know. It's a tough injury. It's not just a ligament tear. Torn ACL, torn MCL, those are one thing. A torn patellar tendon is a different thing altogether. But the ceiling is substantial. There's no denying that. The best case scenario in this pick is that the Chiefs have found, finally, their long-term all-pro left tackle solution, and that he and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith anchor one of the best offensive lines protecting Patrick Mahomes as he rounds the bend into his 30s. That is the upside. The downside risk is scary enough that I cannot throw my full weight behind this pick. But if the Chiefs believe in the medicals, if they believe in their player development, then the upside justifies the process by which you would make this pick.
So there were a couple things that I thought were interesting when Brett Veach and Andy Reid spoke to the media after the pick was selected, because it comes in like, man, the Chiefs must have some terrible leakers in the building, because every mock draft for a week said, oh, yeah, Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. Like, it was so common that I just thought there was no way this could actually happen. Just an ultimate smokescreen. And then it does. And, oh, okay, well, fine, sure. And for the record, I don't necessarily love the pick. I get it. And if he's healthy, then it's a superstar pick and it's awesome. The talent is obviously there. He was an all Big Ten honorable mention despite not even playing 6 full games this year. Like, that's how good he was at the start of the season for Ohio State. And obviously he was a big contributor the year before as well. The couple of things that I thought stood out, they made it clear, Reed and Veach, they went way above and way beyond to do medical research on what's going on with Simmons and when can he be healthy and what is the rehab looking like and when exactly did it happen? What kind of clean tear was it? I mean, they did as much digging as they could, which they should. I mean, you're talking about the protector for the franchise here. They went above and beyond. And if they trust their medical team and their people who do the digging, their PIs or whatever, okay, I am willing to give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt for that. I don't love doing quasi redshirt years for non-quarterbacks in the draft when you use a first-round pick. But if they think that he's going to make a full recovery and is going to be a starter in 2026, and at some point this year can at least be depth, all right, I'm willing to give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. I think they absolutely have deserved that. The other thing, and you mentioned this a moment ago, Dan, and you hypothesized last night on the show, on the Draft Extravaganza show, right after the pick came in, we're talking about it. You had mentioned, well, hey, Juwan Taylor is under contract for 2 seasons, but it's the most open secret in Kansas City football. They're going to let him go after this coming season. They have no interest in keeping him for the 4th year of his 4-year contract. Everybody knows that. And Matt Derrick, who we'll talk to in a little bit, he told us that just a few weeks ago. And Jalen Moore is under contract for 2 years as well. Assume the way it's structured, he's going to be on the team for 2 years at about $15 million per season. We thought, okay, well, maybe this is a right tackle or a left tackle. No, he is a pure, true left tackle. Andy Reid emphasized that. Brett Veach emphasized that. He is a left tackle, which means that Jalen Moore is kind of in a tough spot knowing that, hey, this year you're under contract, you're a left tackle. Next year, you're under contract in all likelihood, and you're going to be a right tackle, or you're going to the bench. It's one or the other, because you're not playing left tackle once Josh Simmons is able to go at left tackle. They made that very clear, which I do think is interesting. That I don't know that flexibility is like a tiebreaker necessarily when it comes to drafting a tackle. Maybe it is for NFL teams. I think it's okay to just say, hey, we took a left tackle, as opposed to like, I want to see who can play on both sides. Tackle is so important on both sides. I'm fine just taking a guy who can play one. That's fine. But I do think it puts the Chiefs in an interesting spot. Okay, you got left tackle figured out. Don't forget that prior to Juwan Taylor, you also had a right tackle problem. Like Andrew Wiley playing as well as he did in that Super Bowl run, kind of out of nowhere. Like, that's not the easiest thing to plan for. So I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying in terms of roster construction, I do think it is an interesting piece.
They have talked, Andy Reid mentioned this in his remarks last night, that they view this as a 3-way competition, almost. Like, it said it without saying it, that they feel like they've got 3 starting caliber tackles, with Simmons being one of them and Jalen Moore and Juwan Taylor being the others. But would the Chiefs really not play Jalen Moore without giving themselves a chance to find out if he's any good? Like, if he's a starting caliber tackle in the league? They gave him $15 million. This is not a 1-year vet minimum deal that they brought Jalen Moore in. They gave him starter money. Juwan Taylor is making starter money. He's making $20 million next year. They're going to bench him with all the money that they owe him? I don't believe it. I do not believe that they intend to go into week 1 with any other alignment on their offensive line than Jalen Moore at left tackle and Juwan Taylor at right tackle. So for me, that says that Simmons not only has to be healthy, he has to blow everyone away. He has to be obviously better than one of those 2 guys. And look, maybe he is. I would doubt that given the injury that he's coming off of. But that, to me, like, I didn't understand that. I don't understand then the process. If you're going to say, hey, we're going to draft this guy, we love how the medicals look, he's going to be ready for training camp, we're going to give him a chance to start. Why did you pay starter money for a left tackle? because it's not a long-term deal. They can walk away from Jalen Moore after a year, and it's no big thing. But why did you give him starter money if you're not going to start him?
I totally see where you're coming from. My devil's advocate response is that you never know who's going to make it through the first 31 picks of the draft. Because it can shake out a number of different ways. Let's say that, let's say the Vikings decided to go tackle instead of guard at 24. That probably wouldn't have done that, but let's just say they want to get a backup have a backup plan because Christian Darrishaw's injury is more worrisome than they originally thought. Well, suddenly, okay, Josh Simmons, who's clearly near the top of our board, he's not there. Josh Connerly's not there anymore, the guy from Oregon. All right, well, we got 2 years of Jalen Moore at left tackle, and we're going to go get Luther Burden or Travion Henderson or whoever else. That would be my counterpoint because it's different than the Falcons situation last year because we were just joking about that, right? Why did you pay all that money to Kirk Cousins if you were just going to draft Michael Penix? Because the Falcons were picking top 10. I mean, they were the 8th pick, and they knew that 3 quarterbacks were going to go before their pick. And Joe Alt was also going to go. Like, they knew they were going to get a shot at either Penix or McCarthy or Nix, just the way it worked out. They could set themselves up for that. Pick 32 or 31 is so far down the list that it's hard to, project whether these fringe first-round guys are going to be available. So maybe, and no team will ever admit this, because remember, every team, well, we actually had a first-round grade on this guy. Okay.
Yeah, everybody.
Sure you did. Well, we thought he was the starter right away. Yeah, okay. Why didn't you draft him with one of your first 3 picks and took him in the 4th round instead? But anyway, that's beside the point. You end up in a spot here where, he's at the top of our board. Maybe it's not, quote-unquote, biggest need now because we did sign Jalen Moore. But if he is, we'll never see the board, but theoretically, he's prospect 16 on our big board. And everybody else up to pick 27 or, player 27 is off the board. And 27 is Luther Burden, just random hypotheticals here. Well, are we going to pass on potentially a way better player based on our evaluation just because we signed Jalen Moore for 2 years? Because the idea, of course, if you're taking a left tackle, and even if he's not going to play in 2025 or play sparingly, he's going to play in 26, 27, 28, second contract, 29, 30, 31, 30. You're expecting this guy's going to be a franchise cornerstone. So that it's the long-term thing. I think a lot of folks, and I'm not saying this is you, Dan, but I do think there's a lot of people at the draft, well, how can you take this guy because we already have that need? Yeah, but that need's on a 1-year contract. Moore's different. It's a multi-year deal. You got to think big picture. So I assume that's what the Chiefs were doing here. We feel like he's too talented to pass up. We'll do the red shirt thing. And eventually we've got a cornerstone. We don't have to take a risk next year hoping one of those guys falls to us because in all likelihood, they're going to pick 30th or later again next year.
If the pick hits, it's a grand slam.
Yes.
This is a big swing for Brett Veach. And if it hits, it's a grand slam. You've solved what has been a trouble position, and trouble at a position you can't really afford to have trouble at. And it's justifiable from that perspective alone. I think I would have rather seen the Chiefs take someone who I knew was going to impact winning in 2025. That's where I stand. I think that my preference would have been to get a player who is going to impact winning in 2025. And I am not sold that Josh Simmons is going to impact winning in 2025.
Given the guys who are, and you don't have to list every eligible player, but given the guys who are available and considered the next best group, was there someone who stands out? I would have rather had Donovan Ezaraku. I would have rather had Mike Green and his red flags. Is there someone who, I'm not trying to contest your opinion, just curious.
I think either of those would have been justifiable. I think any if they'd gone in the Luther Burden direction or taken a running back, I think you can say that, oh, well, running backs in the first round are a waste, but we get that 5th-year option. You can wait longer to pay them.
We had a comment here from Ryan earlier on in the YouTube comments. Appreciate Ryan and everyone else who's joining us on video or listening today. Said, linemen are boring picks, but I do think it was the right pick. Ryan's totally right. There's never any hype for a lineman unless your offensive line is so putrid, it's embarrassing.
Unless you get offensive tackle 1. You get
right.
Orlando Pace.
Right,
or
exactly.
You get Jonathan Ogden. get somebody like that.
I was definitely enamored with the idea of another weapon, of Travion Henderson or of Luther Burden. Like, I was truly enamored by it. I totally understand it, and I think it's the smart way to go to build in the trenches. Simmons is just such a hot or cold pick because of the injury. That's what it comes down to. I hope he's healthy. I hope that as long as we're talking about Chiefs football, we're talking about him as their franchise left tackle. I just am a little bit worried about the recovery.
We will take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Derrick's going to join us in about 10 minutes or so, a little less than that. We're going to get his thoughts. We'll take a look at how the board fell and what needs still exist for the Chiefs in day 2. We're talking Royals later on. We'll talk broader NFL draft, big picture. We got a jam-packed show. We're glad you're with us on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Derrick's going to join us in just a little bit, but we'll go quickly here. The Chiefs' needs remain the same outside of offensive tackle. Still need that interior defensive lineman. Still could use some juice at the skill positions. The defensive tackles went off the board earlier than the Chiefs could get them. My guy, Walter Nolan, up went 16th to Arizona. Derrick Harmon went 21st to Pittsburgh. Kenneth Grant, 13th to Miami. But there wasn't a big run on wide receivers, and there was not a late first-round run on running backs. So there are a lot of pieces still on the board that I think are really enticing for the Chiefs in rounds 2 and 3 today. I think it still sets up well for them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of names. I won't list too many because you know how unwieldy that can get. I think if you probably not getting Travion Henderson, maybe Quinshon Judkins, who I know Matt Derrick mocked to the Chiefs at one point. If he slides to the end of the second round, I'd be certainly interested there. A few different edge rushers I think are going to be interesting here. I know you're not a big JT Tuimoloau guy, but I think that's...
I think Tuimoloau is a good player.
Okay, but I mean, not like in elite talent, but late second round. I think that'd be a nice player. Kind of like a poor man's George Karlaftis, I think, personally.
Motor guy, yeah.
Here is my new, like, total fantasy booking make-believe pick. He might go too early. The Chiefs have to trade up to get him. I know Burton's still on the board. He'd be great. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. Speed and a big body. You know I've been begging for a big-bodied receiver for a long time. I think the Chiefs have to trade up. They'll have to get rid of one of those third-rounders if they want him. I would love to see Patrick Mahomes throwing to Jaden Higgins. That's my dream pick, even if it's unlikely.
Matt Derrick joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City, and Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, joins us every Friday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, it was always Josh Simmons, I suppose. The left tackle from Ohio State is the Chiefs' first-round pick at number 32 overall. And what was your initial reaction when you saw the name scroll on the bottom of the screen?
My first reaction was that I think that a lot of people were going to think I was an idiot for thinking that Josh Simmons is a risky pick. But I still think Josh Simmons is a risky pick. I get why they did it, and clearly they did their due diligence and they did everything that you have to do to make a selection like that. But it's a high risk, high reward move, and maybe it's the kind of move that you can afford to make when you're the that have the dynasty in progress, and this is the one position that you really need to solve. And if he's healthy, this is going to be a great pick. It's just going to be a question of how far and how quickly can he come back from that patella injury.
It sure sounded, and I know you were in on the media availability, Andy Reid and Brett Veach and everybody sure sound pretty positive about the health reports for Josh Simmons. What is the genesis of that positivity? What have they seen that gives them the confidence to make this pick?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One was, the NFL does rechecks after the combine for players who have injuries, or maybe there's some questions on the injuries that that the player had, and there's some suggestions. I know Albert Breer, I think, had a report last week that maybe his medical exam at the combine was sketchy, and Andy Reid was careful to note that his recheck that the NFL did was very positive. And then, Rick Burkholder, I think it was Andy Reid again, mentioned that when Burkholder initially heard of what the diagnosis was, that he had a torn patella tendon. And he was like, I don't think so. Means that they're able to own orthopedist to all take a look at him and injuring the other one. But if it's just a fluke and there's not an underlying problem structure with the knee or any long-term issues, then that risk is negligible. So you put all that together and put that together with his rehab. And I did think it was notable that Brett Veach didn't try to gloss. I don't think they really tried to gloss over anything other than maybe Andy Reid talking about, maybe he's going to be available for rookie minicamp. No, he's not going to be available for rookie minicamp. The question is just going to be if he can be ready by the beginning of training camp. And the player acknowledged that. Josh, acknowledged it in his availability. Brett Veach pretty much acknowledged that in his availability as well. They know they're going to have to take it slow and easy with him, and that's exactly what you have to do. And if the Chiefs are going to make this pick, they have to do it with the idea that they're not going to expect anything of him as being a full-time starter immediately, because even if this year doesn't end up being a redshirt year, it needs to be a year where he's a backup and he's learning and he's just getting healthy.
What is the upside with Simmons? Let's say he's all the way back, that the injury is just a speed bump, that he's able to return to form. What is the upside here? Is it long-term starter in the league? Is it like a Eric Fisher upside where you just plug him in and he's a plug-in left tackle for a decade? Or is there even more upside than that? Is there elite left tackle upside here?
Good question. I mean, there is, I think, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I can call it elite. I mean, because we're grading on a little bit of a curve. I mean, if a healthy Josh Simmons was in last year's draft, and which was a great draft for left tackle, 5 or 6 went in the first 20 picks, and I think it was Marius Mims went like 19. I think Josh Simmons would have probably been in that category. This year, had he been in this healthy this year and there was no injury, I mean, Josh Simmons was probably going top 10, top 5. I mean, that's just reflective on how just rough this draft class was. What you saw and what he has to his credit is a half year of elite tape. His performance just before the injury this season, I mean, he showed everything. He showed that, obviously, I think he only gave up the one pressure. He was terrific in that work. I think the one thing the scouts, would hesitate on a little bit is just to say, hey, it was a big leap from last year. So was he just playing over his head? Did he show true growth? If he showed true growth and can sustain what he was doing in September and October before the injury, you're talking about a Pro Bowl caliber player, maybe even an all-pro caliber left tackle. If he's closer to the 2023 Josh Simmons, then, maybe he's not going to be as good, but still a really good player. But the film that he put on I mean, scouts and evaluators will tell you, I mean, it was potentially elite what he was doing in September and October.
Matt Derrick is our guest. He joins us every Friday at this time for our Chiefs Insider here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. If you want to check out all of Matt's great work covering the Kansas City Chiefs, head on over to ChiefsDigest.com. Also recommend you go back and watch last night's 580 Sports Talk Draft Extravaganza. Matt joined us just a little bit before the Chiefs picked. Really good stuff looking ahead to the draft. So go check that out over on our YouTube feed right now. What'd you think, Matt, of the great work, what I thought was great work anyway, by Brett Veach to add a fifth-round pick for essentially nothing? The Eagles clearly thought that someone was trying to trade up with the Chiefs. They couldn't allow that to happen. They give up a fifth to Kansas City to go up and get Jahad Campbell, who certainly was not going to be a Chief at that spot. What'd you think of that work by Brett Veach mastering the board there late in the first round?
Yeah, that's A-plus work. And it's, one of the things that probably only happens when you have teams that you get along with and that you have good trade relationships with. And obviously, I mean, the Chiefs have good trade relationships with Buffalo. That's why they're able to do those things. Chiefs did the same thing, remember, last year with San Francisco. I mean, it was to go get Kingsley Suamataia. They did the exact same thing because they were afraid that somebody might be trying to trade with San Francisco to get in front of them, and they moved up that one spot to make their selection there. I'd love to know the full details. I mean, Brett Veach talked about the fact that Howie called and Howie Roseman, and Brett was just like, tell me offense or defense. I wonder if Howie started with a sixth and Brett was like, give me a fifth and it's a done deal. Because it's certainly, there was a lot of calls going on there late in the first round. And that's why the draft started to drag a little bit, because teams were waiting until that 10th minute just to make sure that they didn't get any really good trade offers to come in. And yeah, I mean, when you've got teams that have good relationships and GMs that you get along with and make trades, and talk frequently, these things can happen quickly and in a hurry. And there's not a lot of feeling like the other team is trying to get you, so I think that helped. It also helped out that the Eagles had 4 fifth-round picks going into last night. So I guess they only have 3 now. So they had a surplus problem.
Well, yeah, what a nice little problem to have there in the middle of day 3. So let's look ahead then, Matt, to day 2. Chiefs are currently scheduled to have 3 picks, 63 in the second round, 66 and 95 in the third round. What position, let's start there. Is there a position in particular you think the Chiefs need to target ASAP with at least one of these day 2 picks? I would think defensive tackle is near the top of that list. I'm still enamored with the idea of going out and getting a weapon for Patrick Mahomes. Where do you think the Chiefs should go, in your opinion, position-wise, to start off day 2?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because if you think about what's left on Brett Veach's shopping list, there's defensive end, defensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, running back. Defensive tackle is the shallowest pool of those all. It's entirely possible by the time you get to 63 that there's just not going to be any value left at defensive tackle. I mean, it just might be at that point, maybe you hold off till later and you take a developmental project, but because it's just not very deep. So and it's interesting too Brett Veach said something last night about the fact that, once you get past 45, 50, maybe even 55, every team's draft board diverges. The first 50 players are maybe the same players in just different order. You get to after 50, and all of a sudden, a team's going to take a player in the third round that you think is the 6th round value, and vice versa. They diverge rapidly, and that's just because those players, there's just not a lot of differentiation between them, and different eyes will see different things. So if you want one of those top 50 players in the draft, you can't be sitting at 63. And that's where I think that 5th round pick from the Eagles might come in handy tonight. I mean, that could at least get you up into the mid 50s. If there's a player that you like that's still available, if you're Brett, you don't have to wait until 63. You can move up and try to get one of those guys. But it would certainly not surprise me if defensive tackle was a priority. Because I think after like a guy like Alfred Collins from Texas, it's kind of a one tech, which the Chiefs do need. After that, I feel like it drops off a little bit. That's, it depends on your board. I mean, there might be another player or two after that, but that's kind of my prediction, is that I think once Collins goes off the board, then the defensive tackle train probably is coming to an end.
All right. So outside of Collins, because I'm with you, I think that'd be a really good fit at a position of need for the Chiefs. What would be your dream pick here? Just looking at what would be the most fun, what feels the most natural, even if it would take, something of a sizable trade up for the Chiefs to go get somebody. I said this a little bit ago. I love that Luther Burden is still on the board. Maybe if he continues to fall, you can go up and get him. I think he's a really good player, good local fit as well. But man, the idea of Patrick Mahomes throwing deep jump balls to Jaden Higgins from Iowa State has me frothing at the mouth. Like, that is probably not likely going to happen because he might go before we even hit pick 40. But man, that just feels like a total dream come true kind of scenario. What would that player be for you? The kind of fantasy booking chief example of like perfect fit, perfect match tonight.
Yeah, wide receiver could really be a position because you throw that in there. You throw Jalen Noel from another Iowa State receiver, I think would be interesting. Burden and Higgins are probably the two guys that stand out the most. Different receivers for different reasons. But like you said, I mean, you got one who's an absolute speed demon and the other one that is a matchup height nightmare. You could see that being valuable tools for Mahomes. I tell you what, I mean, he's probably on the cusp of it, but, one of my draft crushes is Jacob Parrish, the quarterback from K-State. He just reminds me of, like I keep saying, I try to say it's a McDuffie 2.0. Not really, because McDuffie's still the better. I mean, he's an all-pro. You're not going to get that and kind of an improvement, but he's maybe, I don't know. He's like he's a clone of McDuffie. I think he might not be as good, but he's a really good player, and he plays really physical. And I just think he absolutely seems like a Dave Merritt kind of corner. I probably have to get to the third round before you get to my other draft crush, which is Ty Robinson, the defensive tackle from Nebraska.
Like that one.
I guess he would probably be, I guess I say Alfred Collins. I think Robinson will probably go after Collins. So Robinson's the last one, but Robinson he's a little undersized for a defensive tackle, but as a 3-tech kind of in the Chris Jones replacement era you're looking for, I think he's really interesting. The Chiefs could go a lot of different directions. There's a lot of talent in the second round tonight.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com, and he joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline as our Chiefs insider. Matt, always a pleasure to speak with you. Enjoy the final 2 nights/days of the NFL draft, and we'll break it all down with you next Friday.
Sounds great, my friends. Take care, everybody.
That is Matt Derrick. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, and wrap up the 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. do a quick round to change my mind on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Change my mind. The run on quarterbacks will happen tonight, but it won't be until the third round. I think there's a lot of assumption that I saw somebody out there says they think that Shedeur Sanders and Tyler Shuck are both going off the board within the first 8 picks of the third round. I don't know. I don't know that the Browns or the Giants or whomever, certainly not the Giants, they have their guy, about which more in a bit. But I think that there's enough real interesting talent elsewhere, and I don't think teams at the back of the draft are enthusiastic about these quarterbacks as projects. I think we could see it late first round with a guy like Milroe, Shuck. I think it'll be a long night for Shedeur Sanders again. I really do think those teams can afford to wait.
I think it is possible. I am going to disagree, and I'm going to say I think there are enough opportunities early in the second round that I can squint and see it. I think from pick 33 to 42, there are reasonably 3 places where quarterbacks can go, including Dart's already gone. Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, and Tyler Shuck. I think Tyler Shuck, honestly, even more than Sanders with the first pick of the second round to Cleveland, he's 26. He's hit a ceiling. He's not going to get better, but he's probably got a higher floor than some of these guys. I kind of think that makes sense for Cleveland to start today. New Orleans with Kellen Moore as their play caller now. I kind of like Jalen Milroe there, to be honest with you. The Jets at 42. You want to make a splash? Go get a Sanders. Go get little prime time for the big lights in New York City.
More NFL draft reaction. We'll talk Royals, and we'll crown a weekly What Is Wrong With You champion in the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Getting closer to the end of your week. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And a special hello to our video viewers watching us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis. We've got 2 more hours of sports talk today before we hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network. The Royals and the Astros opening a 3-game set tonight at the K. First pitch at 6:40, and the pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock from the Royals Baseball Network. We'll talk a little Royals this hour. Finally got the bats going with runners in scoring position, and particularly with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. That is where rallies have gone to die for the Royals over the better part of the last 3 weeks, but they were able to put some big hits together and make some things happen. Royals have already made a roster move today as well. They recalled Jonathan Bolin, who was with the team yesterday as their 27th man for the doubleheader. Jonathan Bolin recalled from AAA Omaha. Evan Sisk was optioned down. This doesn't have anything to do with Cole Ragans' status. I think this is for 2 reasons. Number one, because Ragans only went 3 innings to start the doubleheader yesterday before leaving with a groin injury, they need a long man. And the only long man in that bullpen right now is Chris Stratton. So they need another one. And also, the Astros are super right-handed. So having a third left-hander like Sisk is maybe a little bit unnecessary for this short term, for this series. So
Jonathan Bolin's a major. Oh, yeah. He's on the roster.
He was also one of those draft picks.
Yeah.
That the Royals made that year where they drafted a bunch of pitchers.
17 pitchers.
Back in 2018 with Brady Singer and all those guys.
You talk about a mixed bag.
Honestly, especially with like the first 5 guys that they ended up with, the fact that they ended up with like above average major league starter in Brady Singer, a late blooming but apparently above average major league starter in Chris Bubich, and a promising, if again late blooming, relief pitcher in Daniel Lynch. If that's your outcome, that's pretty good.
Yeah, panned out.
It took a little longer than it should have.
It took firing everybody and restarting, but
purging the organization of Cal Eldred. But
I mean, look, like if you're looking at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the first 6 guys who were drafted that year by the Royals, 6 picks in the first 3 rounds, all things total. Brady Singer, like you mentioned, above average major league starter. Like that's a good player. And you traded him to get a badly needed piece and you traded away a position of depth. That's good. Jackson Kowar, bust. It happens. Daniel Lynch, useful. Whatever his role is, he's useful. Chris Bubich, good starter. Jonathan Bolin, still playing. Still a major league usable player. Maybe not good, but he's around. And Kyle Isbell, an everyday starter who is never going to be a great offensive player, but he's taken a little bit of a step forward, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a little bit better than we've seen out of him. He's not a black hole by any means. That's a pretty good set of 6 right there. Again, it took firing everybody from the top down to make it work, but so far it has worked. Literally everyone, because I think Sherman bought the team in 2019, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Except Rusty Kuntz.
Yeah, it's a completely different organization. It really and truly is. And that's why you have some guys as late bloomers.
Actually, kind of amazing that many guys are still around.
That's true. A lot of retention there. So we'll get into the Royals. Still waiting to see if there's anything that emerges from Matt Quattro's media availability before tonight's game about Cole Ragans and the testing, the imaging he was having done on his injured groin after he left yesterday's first game of the doubleheader after 3 innings with that discomfort. And we'll pass that along when we get into the Royals a little bit later on this hour. We'll also crown a What Is Wrong With You champion in this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We want to hear from you. If you're watching on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Jump on into the live chat, interact with us, let us know your thoughts, let us know what you're up to, interact with your listeners and, of course, with your host. You can also text the program. 785-272-9429 is the number, 785-272-9429. Round one of the NFL draft in the books. Hour number one, we talked about the Chiefs selection. Josh Simmons at number 32, the offensive lineman from Ohio State. Big ceiling, but the injury that he is recovering from lowers the floor substantially. So it is a pick that could boom or could be a big disappointment at number 32 overall. But you don't normally get a chance to take a player with the level of ceiling that Josh Simmons has with the 32nd overall pick. And that is what Brett Veach and the Chiefs took advantage of. As for the rest of the draft, we'll get to it in just a second here, but do want to congratulate Brendan Dworzinski, our 580 Sports Talk mock draft champion of 2025. Brendan with a score of 11 out of a possible 64 points.
I will take it.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it doesn't sound as great.
Sounds like an Algebra 2 test back in high school.
11 of a possible 64 points. 2 points for correctly identifying not only the drafted player, but the correct team for number 1 overall pick Cam Ward to the Titans. Mm-hmm. Number 3 overall pick Abdul Carter to the Giants. Number 4 pick Will Campbell to the Patriots. Number 6 pick Ashton Genty to the Raiders. And number 13 pick, the further you go down the board, the more impressive it is, Kenneth Grant to the Dolphins. You nailed that. You also got 1 point for identifying Travis Hunter as the number 2 overall pick. Of course, there was the big trade that meant that Hunter is a Jaguar and not a Bengal.
That Kenneth Grant pick, that one felt good. When they announced that one, I'm not going to lie, that one, kicked back and, oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Always satisfying to nail a mid-round pick in your mock. I got 8 points of a possible 64, correctly identifying Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell. 1 point for Travis Hunter as the number 2 pick, and Mason Graham as the number 5 pick.
Yeah.
So I have the number 5 picks in the right, top 5 picks in the right order. Just obviously did not identify that there would be a blockbuster trade between Cleveland and Jacksonville before the draft. Spencer, our reigning champ, just 7 points for Spencer. Got Cam Ward and Abdul Carter correct. Also, Tyler Warren, 14 to Indianapolis. So a mid-round hit for Spencer on his board, and 1 point for identifying Travis Hunter as number 2. Brendan and I tied with 26 out of the 32 first-round picks correct. We each
in terms of guys
identified
who went in the first round.
26 of the 32 players who would go in the first round. Spencer, not far behind, identified 25 of the 32 first-round picks. So not a horrible showing. I don't think any of us is going to get hired away to replace Mel Kiper anytime soon. But
I don't know. Mel Kiper is not very good.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Shedeur Sanders yet in this segment, so we couldn't be Mel Kiper anyway.
Or about 30,000 times in a 3-hour span.
Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, I guess this is the time to wedge this in. Noted NFL draft insider and 45th and 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, has weighed in on his Play School version of Twitter, Truth Social.
Did he really?
Yes. I am reading you something that has been posted to the president's fake Twitter, Truth Social, 4:52 Eastern time today. Quote, "What is wrong with NFL owners? Are they stupid?" All caps. Deion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. I am sparing all of you, by the way, the worst Trump impersonation on record. I can't do it. I can't get it right. I can sort of get some of the intonation right, but I'm just going to spare you all.
We do appreciate that.
I got like 2 words that I could do right.
Deion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He's also a very good coach, streetwise and smart. Interesting adjective.
What?
Therefore, Shedeur, his quarterback son, has, all caps, phenomenal genes.
Oh, that's probably true.
And is all set for capital G greatness. He should be picked, that word is in quotations, immediately, all caps, by a team that wants to win, all caps. Good luck, Shedeur, and say hello to your wonderful father. Again,
Everybody's got an opinion.
Everybody has an opinion. That is the president's opinion.
And people say the draft shouldn't be in prime time. Look, man, I don't think it's impossible he goes with the first pick tonight. I wouldn't do it, but I don't think it's impossible.
At one time, there were odds on the board for Deion Sanders to be a vice presidential pick of a Trump presidential ticket.
Were there really?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened back in 2020, yeah.
I mean, that is unfortunately one of the big storylines of the night. And I say unfortunate, not because I have anything against Shedeur Sanders, but like there were a lot of other cool things to talk about. Like, oh, I don't know, Cam Ward going first overall. Like that would have been cool to talk about a little bit more during the broadcast.
It is incredible how much of the coverage that both the ESPN and NFL Network gave over to impassioned defenses and almost pleas from Joel Klatt and particularly from Mel Kiper to pick Shedeur Sanders. When the fact of the matter is, nobody viewed him as a first round. Nobody viewed any of these quarterbacks as a first round talent. Cam Ward was the guy who was the best guy in the class.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were really quarterback needy at the top of the draft, that was who you were going to take. Like Tennessee couldn't not take a quarterback. So you take the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else.
And I think Ward's pretty good.
Yeah, I do. Like, I think he's a fine prospect. I don't think he's Kenny Pickett. Let's say that.
No, but like a legit first round candidate.
But like, there are a lot before you get to anything that is not football related, and there's plenty of that with Shedeur Sanders. There's plenty on tape to be skeptical about with him as a prospect. The fact that he takes too many sacks, the fact that he isn't particularly he's not top of the scale athletic. He doesn't have a huge arm.
Mm-hmm.
He's good, but was he a slam dunk first round pick? No, we just spent the entire cycle acting like he was because the media spent the entire cycle acting like he was because do you know what NFL insiders value the most? Access.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what you might lose if you don't play nice with Deion's kid? You might lose access.
Well, and the thing because you mentioned the media, I think that there were a lot like, oh yeah, he's going to be a first round pick. Yeah, of course he is going to be. But like the folks who live and breathe this stuff have been saying for Dane Brugler from The Athletic is one. Daniel Jeremiah not quite as much, but he had kind of teased this too. Like there's been talk from around the league for weeks. Like, hey man, it's not a slam dunk. He's going to go. There are like two obvious teams. The Saints at 9 and the Steelers at 21. And the Saints went out of their way to say, we do not want him in the first round. We promise you we do not want him in the first round. So once you got by Pittsburgh, like who's gonna do that? And like, look, I don't think Jackson Dart's gonna be good in the NFL. I've been wrong before. Everybody in this room who was here at the time was wrong about Josh Allen when he got picked. Like it have been wrong before. I don't think Jackson Dart is going to be a good NFL player. But if you're trying to argue, like, why did he go ahead of Shedeur Sanders? Jackson Dart occasionally is going to throw off his back foot, rear back, and just rip it. And he might not know who's going to catch the ball, but he's going to be able to do something with his arm. The big knock from, like, my film study is, like, a game of tape. Like, I don't know. I got a kid, man. I don't got time to do this for the whole draft. The problem for me, for Shedeur Sanders, is, like, everything he does is so, like, by-the-book quarterbacky. Like, the best quarterbacks in the league now, I've heard this, Robert Mays of The Athletic has used this phrase, they're trick shot quarterbacks. The best quarterbacks in the league are guys who just, like, you go, whoa. Like, how did you fit that there? You might not have the perfect mechanics. Oh, bleep. Like, whoa, that everything Mahomes does. Burrow, it's different because he's a different body type, but he can do that stuff, especially on the move. Lamar Jackson, obviously. That's why a lot of NFL people really like Jordan Love because he does not have a lot of great mechanical stuff, but he's super athletic and makes crazy throws. Like, whoa, how did that get there? Shedeur doesn't do that ever. Like, he's stiff. Like, it's just so by the book, catch ball, 3-step drop, look, open, mechanical, like it's so by the book. Like, to me, that's like mid-round pick or like really good backup stuff. Like, that's why I like Kyle McCord. But Kyle McCord's gonna be a 6th or 7th round pick and a career backup. Shadur's a better quarterback than McCord is, but you're talking about the same problems there. So there was all this hype and talk. Like, guys, the league never viewed him like this.
No, Deion Sanders viewed him like this
and told us about it.
Told us repeatedly about it. And Shador Sanders viewed himself like that. Remember, he wore Giants cleats to warm up.
I do remember.
And not only did the Giants not take him in the top 5, they went back into the first round to draft an entirely different quarterback. Now, I want to be clear. I think Shador Sanders is a better prospect than Jackson Dart. I think the Jackson Dart pick was nonsense. I think that was a total waste by the Giants. I said on the live stream, that is a guy who will not have his 5th-year option picked up. They will have seen enough of Jackson Dart by year 3 to know they don't want the 5th year. Brian Daboll, I guess, thinks he sees Josh Allen in him. That is garbage. Josh Allen is built like, as you say repeatedly, a yak.
Yes.
Jackson Dart is 6'2". Jackson Dart is 6'2", and he has a very good arm, but it is not Josh Allen's arm. Like,
and he can run. Like he's actually, he's kind of a good runner. He's not a true drop back guy. Josh Allen will kill you if you get in his way.
Yes,
he will run you over and you will be dead.
There is no comparison. Yeah. The only thing that is the same, the only things that are the same about Jackson Dart and Josh Allen, their first initial, they play quarterback and they're white guys. That's it. That's the only comparison. Speaking of, I do have to point this out because, yes, Shador Sanders was on the board. The Giants decided they wanted Jackson Dart instead. Currently, on the Giants roster, I think they have 4 other quarterbacks on the roster. 2 of them are Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, which is interesting. Russell Wilson is projected to start week 1 for the Giants. Brian Daboll said as much
last night.
in his post-draft press conference. Do you know how many other black quarterbacks have started week 1 for the New York Giants in history?
I have no idea.
The answer is 0.
Wow.
The answer is they have never had a black quarterback start. Now, the Giants have been playing football for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been playing the original NFL team back in the day. Here's another fun fact about the New York Giants. The all-time leading passer among black Giants quarterbacks is Tyrod Taylor. Number 2 on that list is Geno Smith. And number 3 on that list is Odell Beckham Jr., who notably is not a quarterback.
That's pretty funny.
I forgot
Geno was a Giant.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying the Giants have a type at quarterback, and Shador Sanders is obviously not it.
I think he's going to go in the second round tonight. I do. I think there will be a run in the second round. I think there's a chance Milroe goes. I think there's a chance Tyler Shuck goes. Again, I don't really like Tyler Shuck either. I'd rather draft Milroe and just say screw it because I don't know that he's going to be good, but he's an insane athlete. I'd rather
about the player who didn't get drafted last night. Let's talk about some of the players who did. Let's focus in on the AFC West for a little bit because the AFC West, these were on-brand picks for the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers, leaning into their identities, leaning into their strengths. The Raiders at number 6 took Ashton Jeanty. You could argue me into him being the 3rd best player in the draft. Even at the running back spot, you could argue me into saying he was the 3rd best player in the draft. In retrospect, this was really obvious that Pete Carroll would take the best running back on the board. They drafted Rashad Penny in the first round in Seattle. They are not afraid to take a running back in round 1. And with him and with Brock Bowers, you've got 2 now potential game-breaking offensive talents on that side of the ball for Las Vegas. Really, really like that pick, that process for them. They still need to bulk up the offensive line, create some holes for Ashton Jeanty to run through. But that's a really fun match of philosophy and talent with Jeanty going to the Raiders.
Pete Carroll is not afraid to draft a running back with a little heft to him. Don't forget, Chip Kelly is their offensive coordinator now. Chip Kelly's going to run the ball. He's going to run it plenty. And I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure Chip Kelly saw a bunch of him getting ready for the college football playoff and said, yep, I need that dude when I get to the NFL again. So I like the Jeanty pick. At some point, I truly feel like you just say screw positional value. You're just taking worse players if you don't take him with that pick right there. I think it's a good fit. I think it's a fun fit. They're better because they got better players.
The Denver Broncos bucked a lot of the conventional wisdom that they would add skill position talent in their draft in their first round with their 20th pick. They stayed put. They took Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. Obviously, on one side, at corner. The Broncos have the reigning defensive player of the year, Patrick Surtain II. Riley Moss had a promising rookie year. They got that little slot that's a pretty good player, too. Picked off Mahomes 2 years ago, and I never get his name right. McMillan, I think it is.
Yes. Yes, because McLaughlin's the running back.
McLaughlin's running back. Jaquan McMillan is the player's name out of East Carolina. So they were already pretty solid at corner. They got better with Barron, who I think was, depending on who you ask, the second or third best corner on the board. And I like it because they are leaning into, again, their whole thing is, we're gonna staple our defensive backs to your guys, and we're not gonna let you move the ball down the field the way you want to move the ball down the field.
Yeah, I like it.
Leaning into their identity a little bit. The Chargers also drafted a running back, Omarion Hampton of North Carolina. Jim Harbaugh,
of course,
loves his bell cow backs, and they didn't really have one in his first season on their sideline. And Hampton and Najee Harris together is going to give quite a 1-2 punch for a team that, again, wants to lean into that identity of being physical and moving the ball on the ground.
Yeah, I think it's a fine pick. I really thought that Hampton was going to go to the Broncos at 20. I thought Peyton would want to go with a running back there. Curious what they end up doing. I actually think, sorry for you KU Chiefs fans out there, I actually think Devin Neal would be a really good fit in Denver. I think that'd be a really fun fit for him. Probably come early day 3, maybe late tonight. But yeah, I think it's a fine move for the Chargers. I don't know that was their biggest need, but it's Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is going to do Jim Harbaugh things until Jim Harbaugh is not coaching anymore. It just is what it is. They want to ground and pound. They want to wear you down up front. They've got to get a pass catcher today. They have to, because Ladd McConkey was really, really good last year. You want to talk about a guy that a lot of people were wrong about. Like, Ladd McConkey was awesome. That's it. They don't. Stone Smart at tight end, is that your second best pass catcher? It ain't Quentin Johnston. Like, they got to get a pass catcher today, I think. I don't know how many picks they have, but they need one.
Real quick, let's give our reactions before we take a break to the picks that our respective childhood favorites made yesterday. Start with you, Spencer. The Washington Commanders went offensive line, Josh Connerly out of Oregon.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because I wanted my favorite team to pick the guy from my alma mater and Mike Green when he was on the board there, 29, but unfortunately they didn't. They got themselves a tackle, a guy to go the opposite of Laramie Tunsil, and I am really, now that I slept on it, I am very, very happy with this because you need to protect Jaden Daniels if you want him to be your future. Brendan, last year you said Jaden coming out of the draft he's just a guy that's going to get whipped around, essentially.
Kind of a crash test dummy.
Yeah, well, if you got a good offensive line covering both sides of him, that shouldn't happen near as much as it maybe did this last season, even what that led to him, getting hurt while he was running the ball on that. But still, I like the pick. I think that they're just bolstering their offensive line, something that I haven't seen them do in quite a few years.
Matthew Golden went to the Green Bay Packers. Brendan, how you feeling about it, the wide receiver from Texas?
I'm happy about it, and people smarter than me are big fans. I just saw a video from Mina Kimes of ESPN. She said it was one of her favorite picks of the entire first round, so I'm thrilled about that. Packers need speed. They need some guys who can get down the field and get down there in a hurry. He's smaller than the Packers normally like a receiver. It's actually kind of the opposite of what I've been asking for the Chiefs for years. Like, please get someone big. Please get a tall player. This is actually like a small, quick guy for the Packers, which I kind of like. He wasn't my favorite player on the board, but I'm happy. I've got nothing to complain about. First time in 23 years, the Packers took a wide receiver in the first round. Javon Walker, you can finally rest.
The Seahawks at 18 took Gray Zabel, offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. It's fine. It fills a need. He'll start at left guard from day one. It just further cements just how boring the Seattle Seahawks are becoming as a team. And when you take a guard with a mid first round pick, you are in the boring zone, like flat out, period. You are a boring team. And that's what the Seahawks are. After years and years of being really interesting, even a bit of a circus at times, they're just boring. They bore the hell out of me. And this pick bores the hell out of me, even if it's a good one.
Listen, I said it last night on the draft extravaganza. Gray Zabel, or Zabel possibly, had the box for Settlers of Catan next to him when he was drafted. Then during his media availability with Seahawks media afterwards, They asked what the first thing he was going to do was, and he said he was going to pound some Busch Light. Like, I know he might play a boring position, but this guy rules. I'm a big Gray Zabel fan.
He sounds just like, at least the second part, sounds just like your typical offensive lineman.
Playing board games, getting hammered, went to North Dakota State. Like this, I love this pick. Honestly, love it.
We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. We'll have some more draft thoughts later on. We're going to get into the Royals in a little bit. But first, we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You after this break on 580 Sports Talk. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. It is sponsored by Mo. State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. You know, if you're a sports fan, it's a good thing to have Mo on your side. It's a good thing, too, in the insurance and financial services world as well. So why don't you give Mo a call, 785-273-1572.
Offensive linemen are really the insurance of football, if you think about it. And 100%. I guess, in a way, Josh Simmons is like super insurance since he's probably not even going to play this year.
Insurance for the insurance.
There you go.
Our current reigning champion is our Monday champ, Sex Toys on Fire. Pretty self-explanatory. Gentleman in Staten Island took 2 adult toys to his backyard, lit them on fire, caused a 3-alarm fire that torched his house, 2 others, and a couple of vehicles.
We have a little open time here in this hour. This is not an official story for what is wrong with you. Can I present to you something that could have been, though?
Sure.
I got a text 15 minutes ago. It's one of those, like, tollway,
The tollway scams?
Yeah. And it's one from Illinois. A final notice that I have unpaid tolls on the Illinois tollway. They're not going to text you, by the way, if this happens. All of these are scams. The address this came from, I'm not kidding you. It's about 15 random letters at extort-money3.monster.com. It literally says extort money in the address that the text came from.
Incredible.
I'm bewildered by this.
Honestly,
when's the federal government gonna rain down on this? Like they're raining
Seriously.
down on everything else. Everyone in the world is getting these scam in the United States.
it would
is getting
make
these scam
any
texts.
politician that wants to like crack down on the tollway scam text would immediately have like a 95% approval rating.
Facts,
Dude, it literally says extort money. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Honestly, though, if like they put that in their email and then a person is actually legitimately scammed by that person is too stupid to have money.
Facts.
No, you need jail for that. That's straight to jail stuff. We need you off the roads.
Let's get into our stories today. I'll go first. We've had stories like this before. We're going to Florida where a former substitute teacher is facing felony charges after she allegedly encouraged 2 middle school students to fight each other. 28-year-old.
Why does this happen so often?
20-year-old Tyasia Holmes. First of all, 20-year-old substitute teacher for middle school kids is insane.
Yeah.
Tyasia Holmes was arrested by Henry County School Resource Officers April 16th after a parent showed officials a video on her child's cell phone of an in-class altercation between 2 students the day before. The censored video appears to show Holmes holding back one student who is being taunted by another. As both students continue to argue, Holmes can be heard telling them to deal with their issues outside of school at the park. One of the kids wasn't a student in the class, which reported that prior to the fight, Holmes had requested that the front desk send the student who wasn't in the class into her classroom, although it's unclear why. She was arrested and charged with 2 counts of child neglect and 8 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Juvenile citations may be issued to the students involved in a fight. So it wasn't like in-class fight club. She wasn't like, hey, move the desks. We're gonna have a throwdown here in the classroom. No, she was just saying, look, not on my watch, but
Go ahead, take care of it somewhere
y'all
else.
want to go during your off period out to the park.
Okay, that's not quite as egregious. But also, you're right. Like, you shouldn't have literally your big sister as your substitute teacher.
They
here.
will take anybody
That's
as
crazy.
a substitute teacher. Spencer, your story.
Yes, this story again, the segment brought to you by Ryan Mo Winkle. Let's go to Miami Beach, Florida. A Florida man caught on camera crawling into a valet key room and stealing nearly $2 million in stolen high-end vehicles last summer is now behind bars, police say. The Miami Beach Police Department said Gregory Sean Yerde Jr. was arrested on 4 counts of grand theft in an incident that happened back in July of 2024 in the Sita Hotel parking garage in Miami Beach. Investigators said multiple vehicles were stolen from the parking garage. Surveillance footage showed the suspect low crawling into a valet key room in the parking garage, removing several key fobs and later fleeing with 4 luxury vehicles. Detectives were able to identify Yerde through their investigation. The suspect later surrendered himself at Miami Beach Police Headquarters, according to the department. So this dude was literally caught on camera crawling into a getting key fobs, crawling into a valet key room.
Listen, should he have done this? No. Is it kind of badass?
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the first thing we're going to do is acknowledge that this guy is awesome.
This guy kind of kicks ass.
Yeah, this is like something out of Gone in 60 Seconds. He made his way into the key fob room. Like, were there a distraction outside? Did they have the little guy from Gone in 60 Seconds with, I want my damn Volvo. Wait, no, don't look at the video. She's a brick. Da-da-da, house. I love
You guys
Gone in
have my
60 Seconds.
car. No, we don't. You guys have my car. I know you do.
I want my damn Volvo.
Yeah, this is kind of sick. I kind of love this dude.
Yeah.
Like, don't commit crimes, but also
Like,
this crime's kind of cool.
That was a heist. Like, I don't know even what is wrong with you, man. He's stole $2 million in cars. That's honest to God, gone in 60 seconds too, is what that is. I'll give that one the nod today, but I think we have a wire-to-wire weekly champion.
yeah.
Sex Toys on Fire is our champ, sponsored by Sex Toys on Fire is not sponsored by this. What is wrong with you? This segment is sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Go check out his website, RyanMoWinkle.com. That's MOHWINKLE. RyanMoWinkle.com. See what Mo can do for you.
Important clarification there.
Extremely. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The Royals are red hot, but Cole Ragans is hurt. We'll talk about it next. Kansas City Royals are on a winning streak. 4 in a row for the boys in blue after a doubleheader sweep of the Colorado Rockies yesterday afternoon and evening. 7-4 in the lid lifter, 6-2 in the nightcap. And if that seems like a high number in the run column for the Royals, well, you've been paying attention, because that was the first time they scored more than 4 runs in a game since April 4th. And then they went and did it again. And it's a proof that hitting with runners in scoring position goes a long way to making an offense look potent. The Royals were 10 for 28 on the day with runners in scoring position and had 4 big rallies. I guess 3 times over the course of the doubleheader. There were 4 times they got big 2-out hits with runners in scoring position, which have just eluded the Royals all season long. But a couple of times it led to crooked numbers. You had, in the first game of the doubleheader, 2 out and 1 on, and they got 3 straight singles from Massey, Renfroe, and Waters to tie the game at the time, because Ragans had struggled, and it was a 4-2 Rockies lead. Then in the 5th, Kyle Isbell untied the game with his 2-run single off of a diving Michael Tolia's glove down at first base. That's a play a big league first baseman has to make. I'm sorry. Then in game 2, in the bottom of the 5th, the Royals broke the game open with nobody on and 2 out against the Rockies rookie, highly touted prospect Chase Dolander. Jonathan India doubled. Bobby Witt Jr., great piece of hitting going the other way for an RBI single. Then after a Pasquantino walk, Salvador Perez hit his 4th double of the day to drive in 2 runs and really kind of shut the door on the competitive portion of that game, turn a 2-0 game to a 5-0 game. So that was all really welcome to see. And again, the caveats about the level of competition apply, but hadn't seen it against any kind of competition for a while. So the fact that it came against ostensibly one of the 30 major league teams, look, you take this and you run with it, and you hope that it builds some confidence, especially for guys who had been struggling, like Pasquantino, who drove in a run with 2 outs and a runner on second base in the second game, like Michael Massey, like Hunter Renfroe, like Jonathan India to get an extra base hit. Needed to see that from these guys, and they put it together for 18 innings of baseball. I guess only 16 innings of offensive baseball at home.
Look, I have a hard time being like overly critical after that. Like, they needed wins so badly, and they got them. And I'm glad that you, Dan, can move on from everybody who's a friend or family member here nearby giving you the pity, like, oh, you're Rockies, huh? It's pretty tough.
It's like, yeah, what am I supposed to say, man? Their record is 4-20. Blaze it.
What
am I supposed to say? Like, what can anybody say to me? You see that it was a TikTok. The guy who worked at IKEA, and his whole thing was like doing the reactions to people that would come up to him.
Can I see a manager? Why? So you can just yell at them?
But one of the things that he said is, you think you hate this place more than me? I work here. That's how I feel about the Rockies. You think you can be meaner about them than me? Do you know how much I hate these guys?
It comes down to what we were talking about the other day. And like, you know, last year was a big criticism. Well, the Royals can only beat bad teams. Okay, would you rather they not be bad teams?
Yes.
Because
me personally, I would have liked to have seen one win yesterday.
Sure. But if you're a Royals fan, no, you should take care of business. If you think this Royals team is a playoff caliber team, then yeah, you should have hoped and expected that they were going to sweep away the Rockies. I don't think that this week changed any of the problems. Like, I don't think
they didn't go away.
Right. I think we got a glimpse of, okay, this is what on the upswing, the other side of the spectrum here. They're on the left side now, trying to get to the right side of that spectrum, a more positive side. You saw what that could look like, but I don't know that those problems are completely assuaged just because you beat up on a bad pitching staff.
It changes the tenor in the clubhouse.
That's true.
Which is helpful. And you guys know the cliche as well as I do. Hitting is contagious, right? So you have a day you score 13 runs in a doubleheader. You want to see if you can continue that. Now, obviously, the Astros pitching staff is a much different ball of wax than the Rockies pitching staff, particularly the guys who the Astros are going to roll out there on Saturday and Sunday. But you've got some good vibes. You've got some good feelings. You got a bona fide winning streak, and things feel a little back on track because that was a series that the opportunity was there to sweep. An awful team playing poorly. The chance was there to get 3 wins, and they took it. They were ruthless in doing so yesterday. They jumped on the Rockies starting pitchers, and the bullpen did some really nice work. Steven Cruz was really good. 2 scoreless innings in game 1. Angel Zerpa, 2 scoreless innings in game 1 was nice to see. A bounce back from Estevez to get the save in that opening game. And then more good bullpen work following a strong start from Michael Lorenzen in game 2. We have an update on Cole Ragans, and it is as positive as it can be. Matt Quatrero is saying that Ragans has a very mild, in fact, left groin strain, and says it is still too early to say if he'll be able to make his next start. Ragans telling Jackson Stone of MLB.com on X, it's Jackson Stone tweeting this. Ragans says he is day-to-day right now. When I asked him if he would make his next start, we'll see what happens. This is a quote. Come in tomorrow, get some more treatment, and go from there. So,
Phew.
does not seem like worst case scenario here for Cole Ragans, because you miss a start from your ace. Yeah, sure. Can you miss a month of starts? Oh, especially not with the offense going the way it's going right now. That would have been a much different proposition.
Yeah.
But sounds like it is good news. And to hear Salvador Perez tell it after the games yesterday, he noticed Ragans wasn't right during the pregame warmup. And it's one of those where, you're a competitor, you're going to try to pitch through it.
Right.
And it's a double header, so you feel extra responsibility to your team to go out and sack up and give them some innings.
Mm-hmm.
But it was clear he wasn't himself, gave up a couple of home runs. The ERA's up over 4, even though his fielding independent number is still in the mid-2s.
Yeah.
And all the underlying stats still tell you, hey, nothing is broken here. He's still awesome. The ERA doesn't look as pretty right now, but don't worry about that number. That'll level out as we go along. And doesn't sound like it's a long-term concern, at least immediately, for Cole Ragans. And that is I'm sure maybe you even heard the sigh of relief all the way from Kansas City when the MRI came back fairly clean.
You cannot be what you want to be if Cole Ragans isn't healthy. Like I hate to be super negative about it, but you just can't be. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. I'm not worried about the ERA number right now. It should mellow out over time, matched up against the fielding independent numbers. You need him healthy. There's really, I wish I could give you more analysis than that, but he just has to be healthy.
Yeah, and saw what happens. Saw what it looks like when he's not healthy. He was the command wasn't sharp. He was missing his spots. Gave up the 2 dingers. And it was not a Cole Ragans type of outing. But again, terrific job by the middle relief in that game. Steven Cruz has been really good.
Yeah.
And when Hunter Harvey comes back, because Cruz was the guy who got elevated for him, you have to have a conversation about old Chris Stratton. Because they're not using him. He is the break glass only option right now in that bullpen. And I think you'd just rather have, never mind the money you owe him, I think you'd just rather have 8 good relievers.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's just not worth the energy at this point. Probably, I think we know what he is.
Yeah, we've been pushing this narrative for the better part of the middle of last season.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. Come back with On Second Thought to wrap up the 4:00 hour. 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, before the Colorado Rockies ever played a game, I was 6 years old growing up in Denver. And like a lot of people, my allegiances were formed by the superstations. So I liked the Atlanta Braves as a kid. I mean, come on, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, he was left-handed like me. On second thought, I just should have stayed a Braves fan, man. Just should have stuck with the first one. Not been seduced by the hometown team. That's my on second thought. Brendan, what you got?
You got it on the ground floor, though. They're yours. They're yours as much as anyone can be anyone.
I have literally grown up with them, and I have matured much better than they have.
I'm like right
Aged
there with
more
you with the
gracefully.
Nationals, though.
No, you're not. They won a World Series. I will not hear it from you.
I'm talking about ground floor.
Oh, okay.
I was 7 or 8
Yeah,
when they
go.
got the DC. So
What's your on second thought, Brendan?
My on second thought is I didn't think there was any way the Chiefs were going to take Josh Simmons. I kept saying too many people are putting this in mock drafts. There's no way it's actually going to happen. And then it did. Someone's got to be leaking from one Arrowhead drive.
when Matt, that's my same one. When Matt Verderam, who I think is pretty tied in, said what he said 2 weeks ago, I was like, there's no way. And then everyone was mocking him to the Chiefs. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
When he backed off on that a little bit on social media, that should have been a bit of a tell that he softened his stance a little bit. We'll hear from Matt on Monday when the draft is complete, of course. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we've got some 580 Sports Talk headlines, some news from Keisha, and big news in another lawsuit against the NCAA that we were talking about earlier this week, plus a playoff roundup. We'll preview Royals Astros and look ahead to night two of the NFL draft for the Chiefs on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk. On this Friday, it's our final hour of the day. It's our final hour of the week on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. You can watch us, look at us while we make this radio show for you. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis. Brendan just gave the camera a look that I can only describe as smoldering. Was that blue steel?
Going for it.
So, yeah, gems like that only available in the video stream.
Sometimes you got to pull out the old Tinder picture skills.
Man, that is, you could argue, I skill work good enough.
Yeah, it panned out.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
folks, our video stream is not pay-per-view, too. So.
Yeah, you get those for the free.
Yeah.
On our YouTube channel.
Top 1% of only sports.
580 Sports Talk. Jump in the live chat while you're there, while you're watching. I want to hear from you in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, that channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the show, 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Who do you want to see the Chiefs get tonight in the second and third rounds of the NFL draft? Position, specific player, we want to hear you weigh in. 785-272-9429. Who do you want to see the Chiefs get in rounds 2 and 3 tonight? Chiefs pick 63rd, 66th, and I believe 95th. Is that right?
95, yes.
So,
yes, 63,
yeah.
66, 95.
So those are the 3 picks that the Chiefs will make today. We will go live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, just before pick number 63, with the anticipation that that is where the Chiefs will pick. If they've already picked and traded both of their second and third round picks, then we'll just go on then and tell you what's up. But
be near your YouTube.
yeah. If you're
desktop, phone, iPad, whatever.
And if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can get a notification on your phone. Hey, they're going live.
Perfect.
So yeah, we'll have an instant draft reaction over on our YouTube channel tonight.
We don't need to take time out of the headline segment proper here for this, but Roger Goodell earlier today was a guest on the Pat McAfee show on ESPN, said he wants to shorten the length of the first round of the NFL draft. He was asked about, hey, wow, this was really long, huh? And he said, quote, I started thinking last night, we got to shorten it. I think we usually average like 6.5 minutes per pick. I think only one team went the full 10 minutes. I think I heard last night. And, if you're in the middle of a trade, you might need to use your card, buy 2 extra minutes, but is trying to come up with a bit more strategy. So he suggested cutting the clock down to 7 minutes per pick. But essentially, if you're working on a trade, you can get 2 extra minutes, which is like so many extra rules that you shouldn't need. But if the draft ended at like 10:30 instead of 11, I don't think anyone would complain.
I mean, hell, it's like midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah. There was no reason for it to start at 7 last night. It starts at 6 tonight.
Yeah, you start at 7 Eastern. It would be just fine.
Crazy.
Anywho, we'll have some more draft talk this hour. We'll talk a little Royals baseball. I'll give away a pair of Royals tickets, too, this hour. I got a pair of Royals tickets for Saturday night. And by the way, that's Mike Moustakas' 2015 World Champions bobblehead night.
Hey-o.
So I got 2 tickets for tomorrow night at the K that I'll give away to a lucky listener. Be staying tuned for your cue to call this hour. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, so let's jump into those. And let's start by following up a story that we were discussing earlier this week. If you were listening to the show earlier this week, you were familiar with the name Jet Elad, current college football safety, trying to get eligibility at Rutgers, suing the NCAA, claiming that he should have an extra year of eligibility because he is being denied the right to a life-changing NIL deal, even though he has been in college for 7 years and has played, including his junior college year, in 5 of those seasons. Well, today, the United States District Court, the District of New Jersey, has granted Jet Elad his preliminary injunction. From the ruling, having considered the parties' submissions and the evidence and argument presented at the hearing, the court will grant Elad's request for a preliminary injunction. Sam Ehrlich, who is an assistant professor at Boise State and writes about college sports law, is on X and has a breakdown that I'll just bring you the highlights from. This ruling is a pretty substantial extension of the Diego Pavia decision, as Elad has been in college sports since 2019. The Pavia waiver only counted for players who hadn't exhausted their 5-year clock, not including a COVID year. This will be Elad's 7th year, including COVID. Another key thing here is that the court feels a critical piece of precedent for the NCAA, where the Third Circuit Court found that eligibility rules are non-commercial and not subject to antitrust law, is no longer relevant. The NCAA will appeal this decision to the Third Circuit, but remember last year, the Third Circuit found that college athletes can be considered employees. Sam Ehrlich believes that the court is right, that they're not just going to fall back on that decision. The court also apparently found Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano's testimony very persuasive, citing it several times in their decision. The court also curtly rejects, this is what Ehrlich is writing, the court also rather curtly rejects the NCAA's offered pro-competitive rationales for the 5-year rule, echoing in some ways the Pavia case and saying that all of the waivers the NCAA offers effectively make their rationales for the 5-year rule meaningless. Finally, the judge concluded by addressing some of the other case law on the issue, saying that while it's possible he's chosen the wrong path, he's confident he's made the right decision and isn't worried about the effect that the decision will have on college sports as a whole. Here is from the ruling. The court is not concerned at this juncture whether allowing Elad to play would open up opportunities for others with junior college experience to also extend their playing time. The respective courts and the NCAA will address any further requests and challenges at the proper time. Nonetheless, if that is the likely result, so be it. The NCAA has previously demonstrated an inherent ability to adapt to an ever-changing environment in college athletics. That would be news to me.
What?
This court has no doubt it can do so here. After all, the NCAA's stated goal is to, and he quotes from the NCAA's handbook here, provide student athletes safe, fair, and inclusive athletic competition and exceptional athletic academic experiences that foster lifelong well-being. This court trusts that the NCAA will continue its mission and that Elad will make the most of his opportunities this season.
I mean, it's just going to, I hate to use the slippery slope logical fallacy here, but truly, I mean, where does this stop?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
If you're saying that, oh, well, you got an offer to make money, we're not going to restrict you from that. Okay. So you're not going to, I mean, everybody's going to get money now at the Division I level. So just anyone can play whenever. I have a dumb idea off the top of my head. This would also get sued into oblivion, but it's an idea off the top of my head. Undergrads only. You got to be working on a bachelor's degree or associate's degree to play college sports. That's how you get back to college kids playing college football.
That is true, but you could go back and get another bachelor.
Well, yeah, and what if you graduate in 3 years? Do you not get a 4th year of eligibility?
No.
Okay.
Honestly,
if you're an academic standout, you lose an athletic year?
For what it's worth, this will never happen. And if they tried to implement it, they would be sued to death immediately. But honestly, yes, I'm okay with that. Like, you have to draw a line somewhere, or you end up in a position where we are now, where until, we talked about this last week, until the federal government steps in and says we're not going to allow this anymore, this is going to keep happening, and it is going to be stretched farther and farther and farther. Pavia took, well, it had been going in that direction anyway. Then the Diego Pavia lawsuit pushed it even farther. Now the Jet Elad lawsuit is pushing it even farther. We're going to be at a point where you're past eligibility. It's funny to make the joke, you know, oh, wow, why don't you fill out a job application jokes, like go get a real job. It's fun to say that. There is a part of me, though, that does genuinely think, look, man, like if you're given a chance to keep playing and keep making money, I'm not going to criticize you for getting to do something that is clearly a passion of yours and that you love to do, that you're not going to get to play as a quote-unquote professional at this point. That being said, like if you're 26 years old, don't you feel weird about all your teammates being 6 years younger than you? Isn't it like a smidge embarrassing to be hanging out with
that
like
you
18-year-olds?
You're not good enough to go play at the professional level, but you can still get a little NIL money to make, you know, Louisville basketball good at 25. Like you're good enough to dominate the ACC, but you're not good enough to go play pro anywhere else.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Like you would think there would be a little bit of natural selection is not the term I'm looking for, but like some
Hey-o.
self-selection, right?
You'd
like
think, yeah.
you decide, I'm not really going to do this. Like I'm
And
done playing school.
And again, like I don't have a lot of people. Oh, the transfer portal ruined this. The NIL ruined this. Like I have no problem with guys making money. I have no problem if it's NIL or revenue share or whatever. I, for the most part, don't really care about being able to free transfer. It's kind of crazy that you get yearly free agency, but for the most part, that doesn't bother me. The fact that you've got like legit adults, you've got people who can't even be on their parents' insurance anymore, who are allegedly still college athletes. Like there is something about that does rub me the wrong way. And again, I don't have the right to tell someone they can't go make money somewhere, but something about it feels off. And the fact that nobody put a barricade in place to prevent this is going to keep stretching it out until we got like, oh, well, shoot. I mean, if I'm 29, but they're going to pay me, I'll stick around. Fine.
And that's the problem is these guys aren't going to college to play student athlete. They're going to college to play athlete. And that's what they want. They want the money from being an athlete. This
has nothing to do with like it'd be one thing if Jet Elad's like, I am working on a doctorate.
Yeah.
And Rutgers offers this opportunity for me to continue to pursue like my Juris Doctor. Like I'm getting a law degree and I want to be eligible to play sports while I'm pursuing this. And it's unfair to say that while I am a student, I can also not be an athlete. No, he flat out said, man, Rutgers is breaking me off $500,000 to play. And if you don't let them pay me that money, you're violating my civil rights. And the judge is like, yep, that sounds about right to me.
And this is so screwed up because then it's like, I mean, there's a guy I went to college for 4 years to get a broadcasting degree, and now I have blank amount of money in college debt. None of these student athletes that got scholarships have money in debt, but they're trying to go to this university to even get to take classes in air quotes just to make money from NIL. I don't understand it.
It's going to come down to this. And I hate to be kind of fatalist here. It's going to come down to this. Either the federal government is going to put laws in place or have judges, that are favoring what they want. I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just telling you what it is. And they're going to go to somewhere in the courts and say, we ourselves are going to put limits on this, or there will not be college sports anymore. Like they will not be students anymore. Maybe Kansas State University is going to sponsor an amateur football team or an amateur men's and women's basketball team. It's not going to be college sports anymore. We are already the only country in the world that has a governing body like the NCAA, that has amateur athletics, that is tied like this to colleges, to universities. I spent a semester overseas and in England. And there were two major universities in the city where I was, Leicester. There was the University of Leicester where I was, and there was De Montfort University, which was the other rival school. And they had intercollegiate athletics, but it was essentially club teams. The kids at Leicester who played soccer or, whatever, were all super pissed because De Montfort gave like tiny little scholarships. They like gave kickbacks essentially to kids. Like they're getting paid to play sports in college. This is crazy. We're the only country in the world that does this. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that if you're going to keep going in this direction, where there's no restriction on eligibility for these amateur teams, where you can be in college since 2019, now we're in 2025, and you can just say, well, I'm making money. And the courts say, okay, well, I guess you can keep playing then. Like, we're going to get to a point where we're already past, like, it's never going back. We passed that a long time ago. But we're getting to a point, in my opinion, where we're just not going to see, like, college sports, period.
Yeah. It's feeling more like minor league athletics. And the only thing that ties it to the university is the fact that they play on campus. They have the university name across the chest. They're sponsors more so than you have interscholastic athletics.
Yes, exactly.
As we have come to know them at the highest levels. It's not the death of college sports, because like if you want to go see kids who are there to get a degree and they're playing for their school, there are lots of Division III and Division II and NAIA schools out there where there are still student athletes. But if that's what you really wanted to watch, you would watch that. Like they would hold the D3 Final Four at Lucas Oil Stadium, and they don't. because that's not what you want to see.
Every Washburn game would have been a sellout this year.
Yes, that's not what y'all want to see. It's not what I want to see. I want to watch the best amateur talent, and where you see that is in Division I athletics. But yes, there is a changing face for sure.
Like, these guys got to put new life event on their insurance policies, and they're still playing college football. It's crazy.
Spencer, we've got news from Keisha today. Do you have that press release?
Me?
Yeah, do you have it?
I do. Spencer might have it as well.
I don't have it.
You called me Spencer.
I'm sorry. Brendan, you got it?
It's the end of the week. It's all good.
So some new rules coming down from Keisha, the headline from KeishaCover.com. Keisha legislative boards approved several changes. These are for basketball, football, and volleyball. Let's start with basketball because these are, in my opinion, the biggest and kind of most significant here. So in the basketball section, in June of 24, the executive board approved a plan to move the state basketball tournaments to 4 sites to align with the membership's desire to combine championship venues as they did with football and soccer this past school year. And on Thursday, the board approved the next step of that plan, which is to move quarterfinal rounds to a select group of neutral sites. So all this being told, we are going to have the 4 sites for state basketball. I am in favor of that. Sorry to some of the smallest towns, but I'm in favor of it. But the quarterfinal rounds are going to be played in neutral sites. This is crazy to me. While sites are not fully finalized, the general premise will be to place the higher seeds playing their opening round game closer to home so far as possible. There will be cases when the travel distance for the opponent is too great, so a neutral site in the middle of the 2 schools will be selected. This could include multiple classes playing at the same site. There will be a total of 4 sites around the state for semifinals and finals. The sites for these various rounds have not been announced yet. That will be determined at a later date and available soon. So again, more basketball in a moment, but I'm a fan of the 4 sites. I like having more programs, more teams, more tournaments at these individual sites. I like it. I get the quarterfinal thing because if you're putting more schools in fewer gyms, you got to play other places. I get it. It's a little clunky, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure I entirely understand that. It's a little confusing. It will probably make more sense when it's laid out in like bracket form or schedule form or in the upcoming Keisha basketball handbook. But yes, I have been in favor of a consolidated state basketball tournament. I'd love them to one day get it down to 1 site. I know with 7 classes, that's probably not doable. But fewer sites is good because you get to go see more basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it limits the number of possible host towns and cities because you have to have the hotels and everything like that. But I think it's a bigger deal when there's more people. There's more people in the gym. There's more games. There's more atmosphere. There's more buzz. I think this is good.
My dream has always been 3 because of the way the state is set up. And I know it's hard with the Big 12 schedule and the AAC schedule. But you've got 3 really nice arenas for high major Division I basketball in Lawrence and Manhattan and Wichita. I would love to just split up the sites at those 3, but that's obviously not going to happen.
Hey, Jeremy Holiday is he put out the press release.
Yep.
Jeremy Holiday's friend of the program, great guy. We like Jeremy a lot. Jeremy, hear me out. Grand State basketball at Allen Fieldhouse.
I would do nasty things to get Grand State. Oh my God. I need it back.
Only 1 year. You teased us. You teased the state. Not you specifically, Jeremy. This is no longer directed at Jeremy. But tease the state with Grand State 1976. I need Grand State like I need air to breathe and put it at the Fog. Imagine. Just imagine.
Oh, God, it'd be great. It'd be so great. Also from Keisha basketball today. This was approved this week. The next step for the shot clock. The Keisha Executive Board has approved the following for mandatory adoption during the postseason. Again, postseason only required. Classes 6, 5, and 4A this coming year. It will be required in postseason play in the 3 biggest classes this coming year. Classes 3A and 2A, it is mandatory by 26-27. And then classes 1A D1 and 1A D2, mandatory in the postseason by 27 and 28. I know there are difficulties with it. You got to find someone to run it. You have to train people on it. There are malfunctions that happen. Small schools, it's harder. I understand all of that. We also went 2 overtime periods with a grand total of 1 basket in a 4A state tournament game this year. I am for it. I am all the way for it.
From the shot clock survey that Keisha took, the 72% response rate for member high schools, 71.5% of those want the shot clock in the postseason. And
I think it's right.
Of the schools that responded never, more than half of them cited cost. So if you can get beyond that, I think there's broad acceptance that the shot clock is fine. Also, they have responses for how many shot clock violations occurred in each game. It looks like, and I'm doing the back of the napkin math here, 85% of games had 1 or fewer shot clock violations.
Wow. That's great data.
Good.
And
I'm all for this.
And more crucially, 93% of games only had 1 shot or fewer shot clock issue that required the officials to come to the table.
Love it.
So
this is needed at this point.
Yeah.
Quick one here from Keisha Football. This is a minor adjustment, but the board of directors has adjusted the classification limits for schools to compete in 8-player or 6-player football. Handbook Rule 35 now reads, for 8-player football participation, assignments shall be limited to schools with a max enrollment of 110 in grades 9, 10, and 11. To participate in 6-player district football, assignments are limited to schools with an enrollment no greater than 65 in grades 9, 10, and 11. And in case you were curious, those changes would have affected 0 schools in the current classifications, but they at least have a rule now. For volleyball as well, the traditional 2-day format for state volleyball will now be played across 3 days for classes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1A Division 1. They will still have 2 days of competition for each classification, but of the 3 sites with 2 classes, the teams will alternate their days of pool play. So kind of like basketball a little bit, how they do the boys, girls on the first 2 days. Kind of like that. I won't read you the whole schedule, but that's somewhat minor. Yeah. Basketball, the big change.
The big changes are in basketball. Headlines have run a little long, and we got plenty of Royals and NFL draft to get to. So what do we say we breeze through a playoff roundup here?
That sounds great. I would love to do that. I love the playoff roundup. It is so good.
It is.
And it's coming right now. Eventually.
There it is.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We'll start in the NHL. Toronto gets another overtime winner last night. They lead the Ottawa Senators 3 games to none in their Eastern Conference first-round series. Panthers get another road win over the Lightning to take a 2-0 lead in the Battle of Florida. Out west, the Blues put up a touchdown last night on Connor Hellebuck's head, and they get within 2-1 of Winnipeg in that Western series.
More like Connor Hella suck.
And Minnesota goes on the road and outskates Vegas to go up 2-1 in that series. Tonight, 3 games on the docket. Washington's on the road looking for a 3-0 series lead over Montreal. You feeling confident? Logan Thompson was great in game 2.
Oh, my God. He was out of his mind. He should have given up like 5 different goals. Also getting ever so closer to one of their best players, Lexi Protas, coming back. He did go to morning skate today, but he skated a little bit extra. So it's a, quote, possibility for game 3 from the Caps head coach, Spencer Carberry.
Vibes high for Spencer. Vibes in the gutter for yours truly right now. Vibes could
you get an extra day.
I think I might go. I think I might, a day off today, but like I might go thrifting on Saturday. It's vibes in the gutter. Carolina and LA are also looking for 3-0 leads in their respective series. They're on the road at New Jersey and Edmonton, respectively. In the NBA last night, the Knicks hold off the Pistons in a fun one, 118-116. They go up 2-1 in that Eastern first-round series. Memphis led Oklahoma City by 29 points late in the first half. Then Ja Morant got hurt. Then the lead disappeared, and Oklahoma City won the game. Ja Morant is out for game 4, and that series is over.
And the play that Morant got hurt on, people were freaking out about it. I mean, Lou Dort fell down and tried to stand up. It was just wrong place, wrong time. It wasn't dirty. I was surprised by some of the reaction to that. I mean, it sucks for Ja, but it wasn't dirty or anything. Just kind of a fluke.
Yeah,
that happens.
Bummer deal. Thunder up 3-0. Clippers routed the Nuggets in L.A. last night to go up 2-1 in that series. I don't have anything nice to say about that game. I turned it off at halftime. Tonight, Boston looks for a 3-0 series lead over Orlando. Game 3 in Orlando. Game 3 in Milwaukee as well between the Bucks and the Pacers. Pacers are up 2-0. And the Lakers and the Timberwolves tied at 1 game apiece. Game 3 in Minnesota tonight.
I will take the Timberwolves. I will take the Pacers. And I am going to take the Magic. Celtics are banged up. I still think the Celtics win in 5, but I think Orlando gets 1 tonight.
I'll take Boston and Milwaukee just to be different, and I think Minnesota wins Game 3. That'll be our playoff roundup. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little Royals baseball. The Royals are at home this weekend against the Houston Astros. Saturday night, Mike Moustakas bobblehead night. I've got a pair of tickets to that game in my hot little hands. Not physically, but they're email tickets. But I got a pair of tickets for that game. I'll give them to caller number 4 to 785-272-9429. Caller number 4, 785-272-9429. You're going to the K Saturday night. We're back after this on 580 Sports Talk. So the listeners can hear the bump music, but on the YouTube they can't. We're rights free and all that. We can't really play the bump music on YouTube. So when we clap along to Blister in the Sun by the Violent Femmes. The folks watching on the YouTube stream have no idea what we're doing.
Or do the din, din, din thing when we play Rock the House by Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have no idea what we're doing. We're just doing it. We're just having fun. We're just vibing. Royals baseball this weekend. We got game 1 of their 3-game series against the Astros tonight. Seth Lugo on the bump against Hayden Wesneski. This will be the easiest of the 3 pitchers for the Royals to try and get after. Framber Valdez, veteran lefty, tomorrow. Hunter Brown, who's off to a great start this year, on Sunday. Michael Wacha and Chris Bubich will follow Lugo in the Royals rotation. Good news, again, in case you missed it earlier, as good as it can be at this stage for Cole Ragans, who says he feels like he's day-to-day right now. It's too early to say if Ragans will miss his next turn in the rotation, but it is an injury that is turned by his manager as a very mild groin strain. So best possible outcome for Cole Ragans. He wasn't scheduled to pitch this weekend anyway, obviously, but hopefully the Royals ace will be back on the mound sooner rather than later. The Astros come to town 13-11, third place in the AL West, and not doing a lot of damage on offense. Nobody's really having a big year for them at the plate. Yordan Alvarez is, of course, their best hitter, but he's off to a bit of a slow start, just a 661 OPS, only 2 home runs. Isaac Paredes leads their team in home runs with 4 because he hits everything in the air to the pull side. And what's a really good ballpark to play in if you're a right-handed hitter that hits the ball in the air to the pull side? Man, I would sign a lifetime contract.
Oh, yeah.
To the Astros if I were Isaac Paredes. I'd make so much money. And
30, love those Crawford boxes.
25 pop fly home runs a year.
Like a lefty playing at Yankee Stadium.
Other than that, it's, again, not a lineup that's had a great deal of punch. Team OPS at just 659, so a slow start for them offensively, though not as slow, obviously, as how the Royals have started. Starting pitching has been pretty strong. Mentioned Valdez is a veteran who's been an all-star. Hunter Brown is a breakout standout for them, an ERA of 1.16 in his first 5 starts. He goes against the Royals on Sunday. One win this weekend, you still had a good homestand. You look at the homestand big picture following the sweep of the Rockies. Anytime you got a week at home and you go 4-2, you had a good homestand.
Yes.
You go 5-1, you had a great homestand.
Yes.
So a series win here would be great, but even if they only get 1, which is possible given the pitching matchups, they can still walk away from this week having had a good homestand, and that's why it is so important that you take care of business against the Dregs, which the Royals did against the Rockies.
Like I said earlier, I don't think anything was fixed with that series against the Rockies. It was more like whetting the appetite. Like, hey, this is what it can look like. This is what this team can do.
Hopefully this is a start. This is not everything is fixed. Hopefully it is a step towards fixing what has ailed this Royals offense.
That's the hope. Bobby Witt going for a little personal history today, trying to set a new career high hitting streak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's tied his career high with 15 in a row.
15 in a row. 51 more to catch DiMaggio.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Are you a guaranteed Hall of Famer if you do it?
No.
Like if Bobby Witt had a 57-game hitting streak and then was a replacement level player for the rest of his career, that'd be second place MVP votes and an all-star and 2 all-stars it would be.
And a gold glove.
And a gold glove. Broke DiMaggio's hitting streak and never did anything again.
No.
Would he be a guaranteed Hall of Famer?
No, he would not. Because look at some of the guys who've had hitting streaks like into the 30s in recent years.
Dan Ugla.
Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, Whit did do it.
Yeah, Whit had 33, I think is the Royals record. Yeah, like hitting streaks are just like fun little trivia.
Yeah, that's true. I want to look up the list of longest hitting streaks. Bobby Witt, not quite there.
No,
right now.
DiMaggio is 56. Rose got to, I think, 44. Wee Willie Keeler had one in the 40s.
He got to 45 in parentheses 44 on Wikipedia. It appears that they're not going to count all of them. Oh, okay, because he had 44. He had 1 in the final game of 1896 and then 44 to start 1897.
There you go.
Yeah, Pete Rose got to 44.
Wee Willie Keeler, Paul Molitor had a really long one. He get up to like 39. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the most recent player to have one of that length. Jimmy Rollins had one of 38.
About to say, I thought Jimmy Rollins had a long
over 05-06. What do you know about Gene de Montreville?
Nothing.
No.
No, you spent Washington Senator great. back in 1896-97.
Exactly.
Any other modern player? Luis Castillo of the Marlins, 2002, he had 35. 2006, Chase Utley, Philly, had 35. You don't see a lot of these long hitting streaks.
Didn't Benito Santiago have a long one when he was a young player, like maybe a rookie?
1987, 34. Tied. He was tied with DiMaggio at one point.
How about that?
Dom DiMaggio.
Merrifield got to 31. It was 31 is the franchise record for the Royals.
I always remember Dan Ugla's because it was so funny because he had a 33-game hitting streak but was batting like 225 during it. It was seriously like one hit a game, and he was going 1 for 4, 1 for 5 every night. It was awesome.
Benito Santiago as a rookie, 34-game hitting streak. What else I remember about Benito Santiago is that he wore for a little while number 9, but he put a 0 and before the 9, so he was number 09.
Hell yeah.
Because he had the catcher's gear splits if you wear a solo number, it splits the number down the middle. So he wore the 09 so he could show off the 9.
Witt's actually the most recent major league player to have a 30-plus game hitting streak.
Is it really?
Interesting.
Yeah. 2018, 2019. 11 games into the 2019 season. That was the last time we had a 30-game hitting streak in the bigs. Before that, it was Freddie Freeman in 2016. Your boy Ryan Zimmerman had a 30-game hitting streak.
Yeah, I remember that. What years were that?
That was 2009.
Yeah.
I think I want to say it's either Michael Kadire or Nolan Arenado with the Rockies record, but can't swear to that.
I can tell you. I have the list in front of me. If I find Colorado Rockies. Well, I can tell you this. It's not a very long streak because it does not even show up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go. Nope, here it is. Nolan Arenado, 28 games.
Yeah, okay, so this list only goes to 30. So if you're under 30, you're a scrub, I guess.
We'll take a time
30
out.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
When we come back, day 2 of the NFL draft. About to start. They're about to kick off the proceedings. Who are the Chiefs going to take? We'll talk about it. We want to hear your guesses. 785-272-9429 as we wrap up on 580 Sports Talk. 546 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer. The second round of the NFL draft will kick off in about 14 minutes. That's when the television broadcast begins. Chiefs have 3 picks tonight. Number 63, the second to last pick of the second round. Number 66, the second pick of the third round. That's the pick they got from the L'Jarius Sneed trade from the Titans. And their own third-round pick, number 95 overall. Both ESPN and The Athletic have the Chiefs taking Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson with the number 63 pick in their day 2 mock drafts.
The biggest reason why I don't think that's a great fit, Sampson's a good player, a little small, but he's a really good player, fumbles a lot. The Chiefs love running backs who do not fumble. That's why they brought back Kareem Hunt. Like, his whole thing is he just doesn't fumble. Isaiah Pacheco has had some fumbling issues, and, well, you may remember it took him a while to get the starting job because of it. Then he was just the best option they had until he got hurt last year. So I would be a little bit surprised by that, but he's a good player. I like Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
I would like to see I like Judkins a lot better.
I do, too.
I don't think he's going to be there at 63. I think that's more Dylan Sampson, maybe Caleb Johnson from Iowa. I think those are the running backs we're going to see available there at 63 that are realistic. We have talked about defensive tackle. I still believe the Chiefs need a defensive tackle. I don't think they're going to get a pass rusher, but if they want a one tech who can fill the Derrick Nottie role, Alfred Collins should be there at 63 out of Texas, and I think that would be a fine pick. I can get behind that.
I'll call my shot. We see one interior defensive lineman, one edge, and one offensive, quote-unquote, skill position player tonight.
I would tail that bet. I do think that is what we're going to get from these picks. Do they make a move?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 picks tonight, 2 that are super close to one another. You've got that essentially free 5th rounder for doing nothing that you now have in the middle of day 3. I think there will be a move.
I think that they might use that 5th to jump up a couple of spots late in the 3rd. Or even a 7th, honestly, to jump up like a spot or 2.
Yeah, I mean,
the
they
3rd.
got those 2 compensatory
Yeah,
picks
they got
in
3 in the 7th.
If I'm essentially looking at this, if I'm the Chiefs, that I have, what would it be? 5 picks and 3 sweeteners. Like, that's what I'm looking at right now. I know if they get to the 7th round, they haven't moved them, they will make those picks. But if I'm like, I don't need 3 7th-round picks. I just don't. Although, granted, the last time the Chiefs took or had 3 7th-round picks, you know who they got? Starting running back, a starting cornerback, and a special teamer. All of whom are still on the team. That was 2022. They got Jalen Watson, they got Isaiah Pacheco, and they got Najee Johnson. So maybe the Chiefs are cool taking 3 7th-rounders because it worked last time. But yeah, I'd be happy to move those. Like, you could probably swing something that's like, you know, move, even if you want to do it in the 2nd round, like you move pick 63, that 5th rounder, and a 7th, and you move up 8 spots and you get a 6th back, something like that. Teams love to do that weird thing at the end with the sweetener picks.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable trade if Quinshon Judkins was there, or if they really like Jordan Birch and they think he's not going to make it all the way to 63, but he is there at 55. Let's go get him. Jordan Birch from Oregon, defensive lineman, who I like. I think he's a good player. I like the Oregon players who are available this year in the draft. So I think the Chiefs will make a move, and I think they will be moving up. I think they will be the aggressors in trying to move up today.
Yeah, I don't think they'll move up with 66. I think they'll make that pick. I think if they move up, it will be in the 3rd round. I think it'll be with that. I think they'll move up from the 95th to go and get maybe that's where they go defensive tackle. If it's Ty Robinson from Nebraska that Matt Derrick really likes, could be Ty Hamilton out of Ohio State. The Athletic has Hamilton mocked to the Chiefs at 95.
We saw TJ Sanders from South Carolina in a mock draft this past week. The predictions for him are all over the place. I've seen like top 50. I've seen you might be able to get him 4th round. So sounds like a 3rd rounder to me. So maybe it's a player like that who you think, hey, we have a little extra capital. Let's go jump up and do it.
What do you see a run from tonight early in round 2? Do you think it's a quarterback run, or do you think it's a running back run? Wide receivers?
I think quarterbacks and wide receivers are who we are going to see runs on. The quarterbacks, it's obvious. It's Shedeur Sanders, it's Tyler Shuck, it is
Jalen
Jalen
Milroe.
Milroe, all who could be available. I would not be surprised to see a run on wide receivers here, though, because you got Luther Burden, who's available, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll from Iowa State. I know there's a lot of interest there. Trey Harris from Ole Miss, he's a deep threat. I would not be surprised to see a lot of those guys come off the board in the first half of the second round.
I wouldn't be surprised quarterback-wise. Ian Rappaport just on NFL Network, he posted this video on his X page 3 minutes ago. Tyler, is it
Shuck.
Shuck is in the running to be the first QB pick tonight.
Shuck goes in front of Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
The drama
And
is going to
Milroe.
be, honestly, I said this earlier, I wouldn't do it, but I would get it because you're probably getting the highest floor guy there. And if you're the Browns, you're trying to like be watchable next year. Watson's not going to play. Pickett and Flacco are even older. Joe Flacco are your other options. I would get it. I wouldn't like it, but I would get it if they went with Shuck at 33.
Should be an interesting night. Again, we will go live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, just ahead of the scheduled 63rd pick of the draft where the Chiefs are set to pick. We will go live. We'll have the three of us. We will react to the Chiefs making that presumed late second-round pick and that early third-round pick. We'll hang out on the stream for a little bit. We'll take your questions. We'll have fun on a Friday night. Join us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk tonight. Before we take our final break, a quick word for my friends at Great Life. The weather's maybe got you indoors, not thinking golf right now, but if you're a Play Everything member, not only do you have access to the 5 great golf courses that Great Life has to offer in the Topeka area, you've got 7 outstanding fitness centers with something for everyone to meet your fitness goals. No time like the present to become a member. They have membership packages that are affordable and meet your needs, your spouse's needs, your children's needs. Great Play is a great benefit as well. Go to greatlifetopeka.com and find out what that can do for you, what being a member can do for you. The benefits are outstanding. We'll take that final break now. Come back with the final word. Wrapping up the day and the week with the final word. Spencer Dupuis, lead us off.
Yes. Chiefs draft. Obviously, we kind of didn't really anticipate them drafting an offensive tackle, even though he was mocked there in Josh Simmons. But look for them this weekend to shore up the defensive line a little bit. And don't be surprised if you see a cornerback or safety get picked in the late rounds, because you know what they like to do. They like to do that. And I offer one J.J. Roberts from Marshall.
There we go.
Brendan.
For me, look, I think Josh Simmons is an extremely talented player. I'm not worried about the talent or the fit or anything like that. I just know he had a very severe injury that cost him half a season and is going to cost him all the summer program. It's nasty coming back from the patellar tendon. If he's all the way healthy, I think he's going to be a franchise cornerstone. The question is if he is going to end up being healthy.
You guys both went draft, so I'll swing back to baseball for my final word. Got to take in the doubleheader at the K yesterday, and it was welcome sight to see the Royals finally string some hits together with runners in scoring position and put up some crooked numbers. And yes, they did it against the worst team in baseball, but those are still pros. Those are still big leaguers, even if only technically. And you have to start getting those results when you have the chance to string rallies together and put up crooked numbers. Royals had not shown the propensity to do that early in the season. They showed it yesterday, and hopefully that carries over into this weekend series with the Astros. And to those who saw the Rockies over the last 3 days and offered their condolences to me, being the only Rockies fan many of you know, don't cry for me. I'm already dead. That does it for us. Join us on the YouTube tonight for day 2 draft reaction. We're back on Monday from 3 to 6. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. See ya.